I came home from a work trip to find my wife had changed the locks. I found someone better, she texted, from my own couch. I took a deep breath, smiled and replied, "Are you sure about that?" Then I walked away. 4 days later, she was screaming on the phone. Something felt off during our last video call. Vivian was sitting in our living room, but the throw pillows were arranged differently. It was such a small detail that I almost missed it. After 8 years of marriage, you notice these things. The coral pillow she always kept on her side of the couch was gone, replaced by one I'd never seen before. When I mentioned it, she laughed it off, saying she needed a change. I was wrapping up a 2-week trip to Seattle. Big project, bigger opportunity. Vivian had been supportive when I left, telling me to knock their socks off. But as the days went by, her texts became shorter, our calls more rushed. She stopped asking about my day. When I'd share good news about the project, her responses felt hollow, rehearsed. "Just tired from work," she'd say. "You know how it gets." I did know. I'd helped her build her career from the ground up. What she didn't know was how much I'd actually invested in her success. But we'll get to that. The first real red flag came 3 days before my return. During our nightly call, I heard male laughter in the background. When I asked about it, Vivian quickly said it was just the TV. But our TV had a distinctive soundbar that I'd installed myself. This was definitely someone's voice. She ended the call shortly after, claiming a headache. I landed at 2 p.m. on Thursday. No response to my just landed text. Unusual, since Vivian always replied within minutes. The Uber ride home felt longer than usual. I noticed more details that seemed off. Her location sharing was turned off on our family plan, and her Instagram stories showed our living room from angles she never used before. When my key wouldn't turn in the lock, I initially thought it was stuck. It took a solid minute to register that the lock was new. Standing there, suitcase still in hand, I felt an odd sense of calm. 8 years of marriage, and my wife had changed the locks while I was away. That's when her text came through. "I found someone better. Don't bother trying to come in. I've moved on." The timestamp showed she was typing this while watching me through our security camera, from my couch, in my house. I took a deep breath and typed, "Are you sure about that?" Then I walked away, wheeling my suitcase behind me. No drama, no pounding on the door, no scene. Just 3 dots appearing and disappearing as she tried to respond. I checked into a hotel nearby and called my friend Damien. Within an hour, he'd pieced together what I'd missed. Vivian had been seeing someone named Ezekiel, a client from her firm. They'd been spotted at restaurants over the past month. But here's where it gets interesting. Ezekiel had a history of dating married women in positions like Vivian's, always when they were on the cusp of major career moves. While Damien talked, I logged into our shared cloud storage. Vivian wasn't tech-savvy. She never changed the passwords I'd set up. There they were, photos of them together, in our house, dating back 3 weeks. But she'd missed something crucial in her rush to replace me. My phone buzzed again. "Vivian, you're taking this better than I expected. No fighting for us. Guess I was right about finding someone better." I smiled, thinking about the document I'd just found in our cloud drive. A document she'd forgotten about, from when I'd helped her set up her investment portfolio last year. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer. "Give me 4 days, I texted back. "Then we'll see who found something better." Her response was immediate. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and began typing an email to some old colleagues. By midnight, I had everything I needed to make her realize exactly what she was about to lose. Tomorrow, I'll start putting the pieces in motion. For now, I'm enjoying the constant buzz of my phone as Vivian tries to figure out what I know. The best part? She has no idea that the comfortable life she's enjoying right now, the one she's sharing with him on my couch, was built on foundations she's about to shatter. Let her enjoy her better choice for now. In 4 days, she'll learn that some decisions have consequences she never saw coming. Update. First, thank you for all the support on my previous post. Your comments helped me stay focused. Here's what happened in the last 24 hours. Remember that document I mentioned finding? It was the agreement Vivian signed when I helped her set up her investment portfolio. What she forgot was that I didn't just help her invest. I was the one who provided most of the capital. The agreement clearly stated that in the event of our separation, certain investments would need to be liquidated immediately. But that's not what made her panic. Last night, Vivian's sister Sophia called me. She was crying. "Hunter, I can't keep quiet anymore. Ezekiel, he's done this before. 3 times. He targets women like Vivian, uses their connections, then disappears once he gets what he wants." I already knew about Ezekiel's pattern, but Sophia had details I hadn't uncovered. She sent screenshots of conversations between Vivian and Ezekiel from 2 months ago. They weren't just planning their affair, they were discussing business opportunities, using information I'd shared with Vivian about my company's upcoming projects. "There's more," Sophia said. "Last week, Vivian asked me to hold on to some documents for her. Said it was just backup copies of work stuff. I looked at them today. Hunter, She's been moving money around. Big amounts. I thanked Sophia and hung up. Logged into our joint accounts. There it was. Vivian had been making large purchases, disguising them as household expenses, art pieces, designer furniture, even a new car. All bought in the last month, all hidden under miscellaneous transactions. The interesting part. She'd used our joint account for the down payments, but the main purchases were funded through her company expense account. The same account I had helped her set up years ago. The one where I was still listed as a financial advisor. Time to make her understand exactly what she was risking. I typed out a text. Just had an interesting chat with the board about those expense reports, particularly the ones from last month. The couch looks great, by the way. Original receipts would be helpful. Her response came within seconds. What are you talking about? Oh, and Ezekiel's history with Carson and Mills was quite enlightening. 3 settlements in 2 years. That's impressive. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times. Then, Hunter, we need to talk. We will. After I finish my meeting with the ethics committee tomorrow. Her next message showed real panic. What meeting? Hunter, please, let's discuss this. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded Sophia's screenshots to my lawyer and drafted an email to the board detailing my concerns about certain financial irregularities. Not sending it yet, just insurance. Damien came over to the hotel with takeout and a USB drive. You won't believe what I found, he said, pulling up files on his laptop. Turns out Ezekiel had been recording his conversations with Vivian. Not just pillow talk. Detailed discussions about upcoming projects, client information, everything. He's using her, Damien said, shaking his head. And she's so caught up in it, she can't see what's coming. My phone kept buzzing. Vivian had progressed from panic to bargaining. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. I can explain everything. Please don't do anything hasty. The last message caught my attention. The board doesn't need to know about any of this. We can figure something out. I smiled and sent my final text of the night. Check your email in 10 minutes. Pay particular attention to the attachment from March 15th. March 15th. The day she signed the partnership agreement. The one she clearly hadn't read carefully enough. The one that gave me significant control over the company's major financial decisions. As I write this, Vivian's blowing up my phone. Ezekiel's name has disappeared from her social media. The designer couch she bought with company money, the one she was so proudly sitting on in those photos, is suddenly listed for sale online. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting. Not with the ethics committee, that was just to rattle her. The real meeting is with someone who has much more to lose if Vivian's recent activities come to light. I'll update again once everything's in motion. For now, I'm watching her slowly realize that her better choice might cost her everything she's worked for. And I haven't even played my biggest card yet. Update 2. Quick update from the last 24 hours because things escalated faster than expected. Remember that meeting I mentioned? It wasn't just about Vivian's expense reports. It was about something much bigger. When I helped Vivian land her position 5 years ago, I did more than just make introductions. I invested heavily under a holding company name she never bothered to research. Back then, she was so excited about the opportunity that she barely read the paperwork. She just signed where I pointed, too focused on her new corner office to notice the details. This morning, I walked into the board meeting with every receipt, every recorded conversation, and every suspicious transaction from the past 3 months. But I didn't present any of it. Instead, I just placed my shareholder voting rights on the table. The look on the chairman's face was priceless. You're the silent partner from Morgan Holdings? I nodded. And I'm concerned about some recent decisions made by certain members of the executive team. That's when my phone started buzzing. Olivia, my colleague who'd been keeping an eye on things, texted, Ezekiel just walked out of Vivian's office. He looks angry. She's crying. Turns out, Ezekiel had his own meeting this morning with his previous company's legal team. They were very interested in some confidential information that had mysteriously made its way to their competitors. Information that matched perfectly with the dates of his business dinners with Vivian. I stayed in the board meeting for exactly 47 minutes, long enough to express my concerns about the company's direction and suggest a thorough audit of all executive expenses. Long enough for word to reach Vivian that her silent partner, the one who owned 12% of the company, was her soon-to-be ex-husband. The messages started pouring in. Vivian, how long have you owned shares? Vivian, why didn't you tell me? Vivian, Hunter, please can we talk about this? Vivian, you're going to destroy everything I've worked for. I replied to the last one. No, you did that yourself. Check your email. The email contained 2 things. Screenshots of her conversations with Ezekiel discussing confidential company information and the partnership agreement she'd signed 5 years ago. The one with a very specific clause about ethical violations. Sophia called next. Ezekiel just dumped Vivian. Said she's too much of a liability. She's losing it, Hunter. She tried to access the executive accounts but her credentials were already suspended. How do you know about the accounts? I asked. Because I'm the one who suggested the audit to the board last week. After I saw those documents she asked me to hold. Sophia's voice was steady. I love my sister, but what she did to you? And then asking me to help hide evidence. That's when my lawyer called. The board had reached a decision. They weren't firing Vivian. That would be too public, too messy. Instead, they were offering her a choice. Resign quietly or face a full investigation into her conduct. Either way, her stock options would be suspended pending review. I was about to head back to the hotel when Damien sent a text. Dude, check the security cameras. Logged in to find Vivian in our house, frantically going through files in the home office. The same office where, 3 years ago I'd installed a hidden safe behind the painting of our honeymoon in Bali. The safe where I kept copies of every document, every investment, every piece of evidence showing how I'd helped build her career. She found the safe. Tried every combination she could think of. Our wedding date, her birthday, the day she got her promotion. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The combination, the date she signed the partnership agreement, the day she gained everything she's about to lose. My phone rang again. This time, it was the chairman. Hunter, we need to talk about the future of the company. I looked at the security feed one last time. Vivian had given up on the safe and was sitting at my desk, head in her hands. The designer couch visible in the background, the one she'd bought to impress Ezekiel, already showed signs of wear. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I told the chairman. And I have some ideas about restructuring the executive team. Tomorrow, Vivian will learn exactly how much power I've had all along. Not just over her career, but over every decision she thought she made independently these past 5 years. The best part? I never had to raise my voice. Never had to make threats. Just had to let her own choices catch up with her. Final update coming soon. Still have one card left to play. Final update. It's been a month since my last update. I wanted to wait until everything was finalized before sharing how it all ended. Remember that last card I mentioned? It wasn't just about the company shares or the expense reports. It was about something much more calculated. Let's start with the couch. That $12,000 designer piece Vivian bought to impress Ezekiel. She didn't just use company money, she used funds from a special account. An account set up specifically for an upcoming merger. The same merger Ezekiel was trying to get inside information about. But here's the beautiful part. I knew she'd do something like this. 5 years of marriage taught me that Vivian couldn't resist showing off. So 3 months before my Seattle trip, I started laying the groundwork. Every casual conversation about my company's projects, every detail about potential deals I shared over dinner, it was all carefully planned. Information that seemed valuable but was actually worthless. The real projects, the actual deals, those were hidden behind NDAs that Vivian never knew existed. The morning after my last update, the board called an emergency meeting. They presented Vivian with everything. The unauthorized expenses, the leaked information, the recorded conversations with Ezekiel. But the final blow. It came from Sophia. My sister-in-law walked into the boardroom with a laptop containing emails between Vivian and Ezekiel. Emails discussing how they'd use my insider information to profit from the merger. Emails dated before I even left for Seattle. I kept copies of everything, Sophia told them, her voice steady. Every time she asked me to hold on to documents, every conversation about using Hunter's position for their benefit, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Vivian tried to defend herself, claiming she was manipulated by Ezekiel. That's when Olivia played her part. She presented evidence showing Ezekiel had been working with our biggest competitor all along. Every piece of valuable information Vivian leaked to him. Carefully crafted misinformation that led our competitors down expensive dead ends. The board's decision was unanimous. Vivian was terminated, her stock options voided, and her reputation in the industry destroyed. But I wasn't done. Remember that partnership agreement she signed? The one giving me control over major financial decisions. It had another clause. Any ethical violations would trigger an immediate review of all personal assets acquired during the partnership. The house, purchased with a loan I'd guaranteed. Her car, bought through a company lease I'd arranged. Even her precious designer wardrobe, mostly bought with company funds I'd helped her access. By the time my lawyers finished, Vivian was left with exactly what she'd brought into our marriage. Her personal savings and a stack of student loans I'd quietly stopped paying. Ezekiel disappeared the moment things went south, but not before my private investigator documented every meeting, every transaction, every lie he'd told Vivian about his wealthy family and business empire. Last week, I received a hand-delivered letter from Vivian. Inside was a house key, the same one she'd had made when she changed the locks. There was also a note. I understand now. You didn't just help build my career. You designed its self-destruct sequence. She was right. Every step up the corporate ladder, every connection she made, every opportunity she grabbed, I'd carefully constructed it all with one purpose. It could all be dismantled the moment she betrayed my trust. The couch. It was just delivered to my new office. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone's world. It's about letting them destroy it themselves while thinking they're winning. Damien asked me yesterday if it was all worth it. If spending years setting up such an elaborate contingency plan was excessive, I looked around my new corner office, the one that used to be Vivian's, and smiled. The best revenge, I told him, is watching someone realize that their better choice was actually their biggest mistake. Yesterday, I signed the final paperwork. The merger went through, the real one, not the decoy Vivian and Ezekiel tried to exploit. The company's value tripled overnight. Vivian watched it happen from her parents' guest room, where she's been staying since everything fell apart. Her last text to me was simple. "You planned this all along, didn't you?" I didn't respond. Some questions don't need answers. The designer couch sits in my office now, barely used. A $12,000 trophy of someone else's hubris. Sometimes the best things in life aren't free. They're just paid for by someone else's mistakes.